welcome. I'm Brandon Torres.
And I'm Michelle Morales. And this is the Pacific Coast News for the County of San Mateo.
It's Wednesday, March 26, 2014, and this is the news for the week. The top story for this week is a fatal hit and run that happened on March 21st in Half Moon Bay. The driver did later turn himself in. San Mateo County deputies responded to the report of a car versus pedestrian accident. Upon arrival, it turned out to be a 67-year-old cyclist that was struck by a gray Honda sedan who was heading north on Highway 1 and was turning westbound onto Filbert Street. The car fled the scene. The victim was airlifted to the hospital with serious injuries. He later died at the hospital. Later that evening, the driver turned himself in to the Sheriff's substation in Half Moon Bay. The driver was Barnaby Cervantes Alvarado, a 23-year-old resident who was booked and charged with hit and run, was transferred to McGuire Correctional Facility in Redwood City. He remains in custody with a $50,000 bail. The Sheriff's Office Major Accident Investigation Team is currently investigating the accident. Anyone who may have information regarding this accident is asked to contact Deputy Ho or Deputy Huey or Deputy Chichov via San Mateo County Communications at 650-363-4911. You may also remain anonymous by calling the San Mateo County Sheriff's Anonymous Tip Line at 1-800-547-2700. The Pacifica Police Department and District Attorney's Office are still investigating the standoff that shut down most of Pedro Point for over 8 hours. The residents tried to wait patiently as several different authorities entered and left the area after the Pacifica Police Department evacuated the surrounding evidence. Residents of 384 San Pedro Avenue. It all started around noon on March 18th when Pacifica Police responded to a family's call that their adult son was displaying paranoia behavior. After arriving, the police encountered the 34-year-old Earl Chang in the backyard of his residence. Chang refused to comply with the officer's demands and brandished an axe. Officers attempted to subdue him, however, he was able to run into his house and barricade himself. After interviewing family members who were on scene, officers learned that Chang may have access to a rifle and ammunition, which were also hidden in the house. That's when surrounding residents were evacuated. Officers attempted to communicate with Chang, but he refused to respond to any means of communication. The Daly City SWAT team was activated and called to the scene to assist in deploying a throwaway phone into the house. Still, Chang wouldn't answer. Negotiators continued for hours to contact him through various means, including the use of a public address system. Finally, at around 6:30 p.m., the SWAT team utilized distraction devices in an effort to persuade Chang to exit the house. Again, he refused to come out. Eventually, the SWAT team made entry into the residence. Chang armed himself with a knife and stabbed one of the SWAT team members. As a result, a SWAT team member shot and killed Chang. The injured officer was transported for medical treatment, and his injuries were non-life-threatening. During the incident, families of Chang told Pacifica Coast News that Chang was schizophrenic and hadn't taken his medication for a few days. They said consequently Chang was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. This is why his family called the police. The SWAT team is a multi-district team. Most of the members are from the Daly City Police Department. However, there are 2 members from the Pacifica Police Department and 1 from Colma Police.
How sad. I really like your idea of using a tranquilizer dart on someone in that situation.
Yeah, I don't think they have to shoot him. They could have just tranquilized him and taken him to the hospital and dealt with him when he came to.
That's a great idea. It certainly seems that the police does need more resources to deal with people who become mentally unstable. To continue with coastal crime, the You Save Liquors and Manor was robbed on March 18th at around 10:50 p.m. Officers from the Pacifica Police Department responded to the You Save Liquors located at 81 Bill Drake Way on a report of a robbery. 2 suspects entered the business, and 1 suspect had brandished a weapon at the on-duty clerk. The suspects demanded cash from the on-duty clerk and then fled on foot. Pacifica police officers arrived on scene and conducted an extensive search of the area for the suspects with negative results. No one was injured, and the exact loss was still being determined. The first suspect was described as being a teenage Hispanic male, approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall and 120 pounds. He was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt with dark colored bandana covering his face. The second suspect was described as being a teenage Hispanic male, also approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall with a thin build. He was also wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and had a dark colored bandana covering his face. A witness outside the business reported that the 2 suspects entered a brown older model full-size utility vehicle and were last seen driving from the area west on Manor. This incident continues to be under investigation, and any further information or leads should be forwarded to Pacifica Police Department at 650-738-7314 or by using their anonymous tip line at 650-359-4444. Again, those numbers are 738-7314 and 359-4444. Besides that robbery, the Pacifica police are still investigating the 7-Eleven robberies that took place in Manor as well. The last one was on February 8th. Pacifica police responded to a call around 3 a.m. of a robber. The suspect brandished a weapon at the on-duty clerk, then fled on foot. Pacifica police officers arrived on scene and conducted an extensive search for the suspect in this area as well. Again, no one was injured. The suspect was described as being a black male adult, approximately 30 years of age, 5 feet 6 inches tall with a thin build. He was wearing a black hooded sweatshirt and camouflage pants and concealed his face with a dark colored bandana. The other robbery occurred on January 30th. This time, police responded at around 3:40 a.m. Again, the suspect wielded a weapon at the on-duty clerk, then fled on foot. Once again, Pacifica police officers conducted a thorough search of the area for the suspect with negative results. Again, no one was hurt. The suspect had a similar description, except this time he had on light blue pajama pants and sandals or slippers and concealed his face with a blue bandana. Pacifica police are still looking for the suspect that caused a fatal hit and run on the 100 block of Palmetto Avenue. The car is described as a gray or dark colored vehicle, possibly a Monte Carlo or Charger, or similar type vehicle, as these shown here. It was last seen heading towards Daly City on Palmetto Avenue at around 7:45 a.m. on January 14th. The deceased was later identified as Ishwar Patel, 71 of Daly City. A silver alert had just been issued for him that morning. Anyone with information regarding this or any other cases are again asked to call the Pacifica Police Department at 650-738-7314 or the anonymous tip line at 650-359-4444. Now we'll move on to the most recent crime incidents. There are just a few incidents this week. There were 2 reports of identity theft in Pacifica on March 20th. The first was reported a little after 11 a.m. by a resident on Tioga Way. The other was reported at 2:20 p.m. by a resident on Esplanade Avenue. On March 16th, the police department responded to a car fire on Lindbergh Drive at around 11:45 p.m. Earlier that day, a resident on Crespi Drive reported around 10:45 a.m. that a thief had smashed a window in a car to steal the car and house keys, a wallet, and cell phone. While over in Half Moon Bay, a resident reported that sometime during the night of March 15th A thief stole tools from an unlocked storage compartment from a work truck on the 500 block of Myrtle Street. The tools were estimated to be valued at $1,500. On March 19th, a resident on Skyline Boulevard in Pacifica reported that his cousin showed up to his house with a gun and pointed it at his head and then left in a black Ford at around 2 a.m. Lastly, on the same day, a car was reported burglarized on Gateway Drive just before 6 p.m. The thief broke the window to enter the car that was in a carport. And that wraps up the coastal crime.
Moving on to the coastal court update. On March 20th, the courts found that there was significant evidence for Paul David Messersmith, 47 of Pacifica, to stand trial for forcible rape while using an intoxicating substance, sexual battery, and battery during his preliminary trial. Messersmith was arrested on December 11th when the young woman reported the incident after waking up groggy. He allegedly put Zolpidem in some ice cream. Zolpidem is better known by its brand name Ambien. He remains in custody and no bail is allowed. He will be arraigned on April 4th. Kenneth Spoonhunter, a 27-year-old Pacifica resident, was in court on March 14th to be arraigned for charges of residential burglary and possession of controlled narcotic substance. Spoonhunter was arrested on March 14th around 2 p.m. after Pacifica police responded to a call from a resident observing a suspect entering the residence after climbing a ladder to reach a balcony door at 174 Pacific Avenue. Police surrounded the residence and arrested Spoonhunter as he exited the property with stolen goods. He was also arrested for 2 outstanding warrants. The police said this was an excellent example of the police and citizens working together. Spoonhunter's preliminary hearing is scheduled for April 1st. He remains in custody and his bail is set at $100,000. Another trial that begins on April 1st is the trial of Mark Furlan, who allegedly killing Keith Coffey on October 17, 2012. Furlan was found to be competent to stand trial on February 5th by Judge Jonathan Koresh. It took 3 evaluations for the court to decide. The last doctor's evaluation was submitted to the courts on January 23rd and was the deciding report after 2 conflicting reports were submitted on October 24th and December 12th. Coffey reportedly had over 90 wounds and was bludgeoned to death. At that time, it was Pacifica's first homicide since 2000. Christina Mezzi of San Carlos, the defending Furlan, and Deputy District Attorney Sean Gallagher is the prosecutor. Lastly, the doctor's reports about the competency of Keith Christopher Miller, 25 of Montera, are due in court on April 3rd. Miller was arrested on February 2nd at his mother's house on the 900 block of Cedar Street and was charged with attempted murder and resisting arrest, just to name a couple of charges. The ordeal began on January 31st when a woman reported her adult son was on drugs and had strangled her, stating he was going to kill her. She was able to escape and run to a neighbor's to call 911. Miller fled on a dirt bike into the wooded area. His mother was given an emergency restraining order and was advised not to return home until her son was arrested. It wasn't until February 2nd, around 1:45 a.m., sheriff's deputies saw Miller enter the house. They attempted to open the front glass door and demanded entry, but Miller refused to open the door and was reported to be yelling incoherently. A deputy broke a window on the door and attempted to unlock the deadbolt, but Miller continually struck the hand of the deputy. As a result, a K-9 unit was released into the residence and detained Miller just as he was about to flee out the back door. Miller was arrested and transported to San Mateo County Jail. He remains in custody and no bail allowed. If you live with a loved one who has an addiction problem and aren't sure what to do about it, the county has a drug and alcohol helpline at 650-579-0356. Again, that number is 650 579-0356.
Now we'll highlight a couple of local government meetings. We'll begin with Pacifica. The City of Pacifica has a balanced budget, but no reserve funds. City Manager Lori Tinfo announced to the City Council during the March 24th City Council meeting. The city has a balance of almost $550,000. Tinfo went on to say that all it means is that they've been doing a really good job of estimating costs. However, this is assuming no other surprises pop up, such as discovering the Measure V costs weren't originally included in the budget. Excuse me. Also during the meeting, the city finalized its communication policy. There are several goals for this plan. We'll just highlight a few, such as ensuring consistent messages, coordinating department public relation efforts, and social media efforts. There will also be communication training for the city staff. During the March 25th San Mateo County Board of Supervisors meeting, John Maltby, the county manager, gave a report. One of the topics Maltby spoke about was the Big Lift preschool plan proposal that was presented to the board on February 25th. The preschool plan outlined the major strategies for implementing the initiative for the first 2 years using the $10 million in initial Measure A funding allocated by the board. One major priority for these investments is to provide 2 years of free, low-cost, high-quality preschool in school districts where early elementary students are struggling the most. The county's ultimate goal is $40 million to meet the need in 11 targeted school districts that fall below the goal of 80% of third grade students reading at a grade level at several school districts across the county, including those on the coast such as Cabrillo and Pacifica. Also during the meeting, Maltby announced the new website for the Board of Supervisors that will go live on March 28th. The site will be at http://bos.smcgov.org. New features will include clean design, revised district lookup maps, links to the most frequently visited content in the top navigation bar, and public meetings and board calendars, just to name a few. The City of Half Moon Bay had its first community workshop on March 20th at the Adcock Community and Senior Center. Half Moon Bay is updating the general plan, the local coastal program, and the zoning ordinance. The council wants the community's input. A survey was mailed out to residents and needs to be returned by March 28th. No postage is necessary, so all one has to do is drop them in the mailbox. If you need another copy, just stop by City Hall or visit planhmb.org. There, residents can sign up to be on an email list to receive updates, events, and other ways to stay involved. Also on the website is a schedule, details on upcoming meetings and workshops, background information, maps, project reports, and more.
A media preview day was held on March 25th for the new Devil's Slide Coastal Trail. The preview will allow the media to interview key officials, including Parks Director Marlene Finley, rangers, and volunteers. No television trucks or other vehicles were permitted on the trail. The formal opening will be tomorrow, March 27th at 11 a.m., where County Supervisors Don Harsley, Carol Groom, and Warren Slocum will speak. The trail will be open to the public on Thursday, March 27th at 1 p.m. The trail follows the former route of Highway 1 along what many considered a treacherous 1.3-mile drive. With that section now bypassed by tunnels, San Mateo County spent nearly a year building 3 scenic overlooks, resurfacing the road, and making other improvements for hikers, bicyclists, and equestrians. Gates that now block access from the north and south will swing open at 1 p.m. Parking is limited, so park officials recommend recommend people to carpool, take public transportation, or cycle to the trail. The parking lot on the northern trail entrance near Pacifica can only be entered when you are heading south on Highway 1. The lot includes 17 parking spaces, 1 accessible space, and 1 space for a recreational vehicle. The parking lot on the southern trail entrance nearest Montera can be accessed when traveling north and south on Highway 1. The lot includes 24 parking spaces, 1 accessible space, and 1 space for a recreational vehicle. Both lots have restrooms. No motorized vehicles of any type are allowed on the trail. Dogs are permitted on a 6-foot leash. Informational kiosk and pet stations are located at the north and south trailheads. The trail includes 3 overlook sites featuring benches and observation scopes, allowing visitors to observe marine life that live or migrate along the San Mateo County coastline, including harbor seals, bottlenose dolphins, California sea lions, northern elephant seals, and humpback gray and killer whales. Visitors will also see interpretive panels detailing the history, geography, and animal and plant features of the area.
Just Capistrano and Outer Harbor beaches are the 2 beaches that have elevated levels of indicator bacteria and have signs to warn users that they may become ill if they engage in water contact activities in the posted areas. San Mateo County routinely tests 43 natural recreational water sites each week by a combination of county staff and volunteers, primarily associated with a local chapter of the Surfrider Foundation. Samples are analyzed by the San Mateo County Public Health Laboratory for 3 bacteria indicator parameters specified by state regulations. These indicator bacteria include total coliform, E. coli, and enterococcosis. When high indicator bacteria levels are found, the site is posted with a warning sign and is retested to confirm the results. Warning signs are posted when bacterial standards have exceeded state swimming standards, but there is no confirmed source of contamination. Persons using recreational water posted by county health officials do so at their own risk. A warning sign is also posted at Pilarcitos Creek at the south end of Venice Beach.
Switching over to the county health update, reports of the flu continue to decrease now that the peak of the flu season is over. There were 7 cases reported during the first week of March and just 1 case for the second week. Reports of the flu have also decreased across the nation. Don't forget, Californians have until March 31st to sign up for health care under the Affordable Care Act, also called Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act gives residents across the nation several chances to sign up for health care coverage before the end of the year, but that doesn't hold true for California residents. California residents who miss the deadline will have to wait until next year's open enrollment period to sign up through Covered California and obtain financial assistance to make coverage affordable and could face a federal tax penalty. In addition, health coverage wouldn't begin until January 2015 unless there is a qualifying event such as a marriage, divorce, or loss of job in the interim. If you haven't signed up yet, there will be one last chance to sign up in person next to the food court at Ceremony Shopping Center on March 29th. Daly City Mayor David Canepa and State Senator Mark Leno will be at the event. The following is required for each person applying: monthly or annual income by bringing a pay stub or last tax return if you can, Social Security number, bring naturalization certificate if you are a recent citizen or don't have a Social Security number yet, your birth date, address such as a recent utility bill. The event goes from noon until 4 p.m. Also during the March 25th San Mateo County Board of Supervisors meeting, John L. Maltby, County manager announced that the county is exceeding original estimates on the enrollment of residents in Medi-Cal and into a covered California plan, especially with a month of enrollment remaining at the time the data was pulled from the March update. For Medi-Cal, they project an eligible population of 13,000 and is expected to enroll. As of the end of February, there were already almost 12,500 new San Mateo County Medi-Cal participants. Maltby thinks it's most likely due to underestimating the eligible population given the lag in census data.
And that's the news on the coast for this week. We finally created our Facebook page, so look for us at Pacific Coast News, the show. You can submit news tips, suggestions, or videos, or give feedback. Our next broadcast will be April 9th. Please join us again at that time.